What's up everyone and welcome back to the channel and to this Smooth Operator by Baby Audio review. Although it's not a full review, I will go over the main features and whatnot, but the objective with this video is more to see if one actually needs this multi-band processor. Kind of in the vein of Soothe, you have resonance, suppression, dynamic EQ, multiband compression. It's kind of combined into one plugin, but do you actually need it if you know what you're doing with an EQ plugin such as Pro-Q3? And I have a drum loop, a guitar loop, a vocal loop, and reverb to check out the sidechain to see how we can achieve kind of the same effect with something like the Pro-Q3 or any type of EQ that has some dynamic functionality as well. But before we get to that, let's kind of go over the interface a bit and see what the plugin is capable of. Obviously, you have these three nifty little colors. That's a bit inconsequential. Then you have the bypass switch. If you click on Baby Audio, you can upload presets from here as from here, and there are quite a few of them. This is also a bypass sidechain, and this is going to be important for the last thing we're going to look at. And you also have a reset. So we have the main interface here that goes from 20 to 20K. The threshold is in the middle. It's this one here, and you select how much of the signal is actually being affected by this. So the lower you get it, the more the effect will be audible. Then you have the low shelf and the high shelf, so you can tweak this. If you go up, you leave the signal alone. If you go down more and more, then that's gonna start messing with the resonances in that region. Same for the high shelf. The higher you go, the less it's gonna actually affect it compared to the threshold, and then the lower you go, the more it's gonna get affected. And then you have these more surgical bands, and with the mouse wheel you can control the Q of them. If you go down, you take things out. If you go up, you leave those regions alone. And same for this one. For some reason, you can't really overlap this over the threshold. It's a bit strange, but presumably you shouldn't need that many bands or that many overlaps to be able to do that. You can just move this, but it doesn't really go between these points. So you need to be a bit creative with how you set those up in relation to the threshold. Then below you have a solo button, which is really useful. You can click on it to engage it, and then whenever you hover over these points, you'll kind of hear a solo, a band pass of just that region. The focus is really interesting because you can either have it really broad and it's basically just one line, one band, or really surgical. And if you're here, you'll have multiple different points that will start either suppressing or enhancing. Then the output is kind of self-explanatory, but this is really important because this plugin tends to make things a bit louder, so it's really important that you gain match so you're not fooled by the loudness. And then you have an RMS meter or peak meter, so that's really useful. It's also going to help you with setting the output, and obviously this is, as with all of their plugins, completely resizable. That's the interface. Let's have a listen to what the plugin is capable of. And I have the original drum loop here. I'm just gonna play it. And there are a lot of boxy frequencies there. The room sound isn't ideal. So let's have a listen to it with this on. And I've spared you the process of getting to this specific shape, but let's just have a listen to what Smooth Operator does on that drum loop. So it takes care of a lot of that low end rumble and the room mid frequencies. Then let's see what I did with the EQ. And it is a bit extreme. I tried to match what Smooth Operator does, but also kind of enhance it in a way that I would probably use this loop in a mix. I know it looks extreme, but the sound of it is, to me, very natural. just the smooth operator engage, I feel that the room sound isn't really taken care of. So it's this part here. You can hear that there's a sort of honk, sort of basketball court sound in there. And obviously the low end is probably a bit too drastically cut here. So even if I do something like this, let's disengage these and see what it sounds like. I like the EQ version a whole lot more. It just seems cleaner, and I would have an easier job adding this to a mix. But obviously it took a while to find all of these frequencies, and you do have quite a few bands here to add. So this did it in 20 seconds. This one probably took a couple of minutes. So in this case, it's faster with smooth operator, but to my ears, doing it the old-fashioned way is a bit better. Let's have a listen to this guitar loop here. This one's a bit less extreme. So the original loop is like this. With smooth operator. And if I feel that it takes too much of this, I can just roll it back. And with the EQ, and without. I feel that it thins it out a bit too much here, so let's see maybe if we make it work a bit less hard. Similar, but still I feel that this frequency here, which I did try to match, this one isn't really taken care of here, even though the focus is pretty high. That one. Pretty similar, but obviously it took less time to do this than to do this. Moving on to the next one, to the vocal, we have this. I'm trying to test the plugin by Baby Audio. So you have that lovely performance there, and what I did here was just made sure that the bit of the room is taken care of, and a lot of the sibilants here as well. I'm trying to test the plugin by Baby Audio. I'm trying to test the plugin by Baby Audio. I feel it thins it out a bit, so let's do this. I'm trying to test the plugin by Baby Audio. I'm trying to test the plugin. So let's see what I did with the EQ. I'm trying to test the plugin by Baby Audio. I'm trying to test the plugin by Baby Audio. I'm trying to test the plugin by Baby Audio. I'm trying to test the plugin by Baby Audio. I'm trying to test the plugin by Baby Audio. I'm trying. plugin by Baby Audio. I'm trying to test a plugin by Baby Audio. Somewhat similar. I feel that this one has a bit of that 2 to 4K. It's a bit much. It sounds a bit too abrasive, but with this example, I think it's also a matter of preference. So I think you would be able to add either of these and get a similar result in a mix. I prefer something like this because you have a bit more control over what happens. Whereas with this one in the top end, I really don't like what's happening in my voice kind of above 9 to 10K, but it's difficult to suppress it here because it kind of takes everything down as well if you do want to get rid of the sibilance as well, but it is usable. And using the same example, I also set it up here on a reverb, and over here on the reverb I have it sidechain, so the vocal goes to the reverb, but the same vocal is gonna hit smooth operator as a sidechain and duck only these regions that I tell it to, and only when it's singing. So let's have a listen to before and after. So this is just the reverb. There's a lot of reverb on it, but I wanted to make it obvious. I'm trying to test a plugin by Baby Audio. Somewhat muddy, and then we have this. I'm trying to test a plugin by Baby Audio. I'm trying to test a plugin by Baby Audio. So listen to the low end of the reverb. It goes away completely when I sing, and then slightly comes back between those lines when I have smooth operator engaged, but it doesn't do that, and it's constantly there and muddies up the vocal sound when I have this disengaged. I'm trying to test a plugin by Baby Audio. I'm trying to test a plugin by Baby Audio. And in a mix, that's gonna make a whole lot of difference. You get a whole lot more precision with Baby Audio smooth operator in this instance, because it is gonna react in a way that's similar to Track Spacer by Waves Factory. And this is an instance that I would probably just use this instead of having to EQ stuff and get things out of the way through normal sidechaining with a compressor or even with Track Spacer. This one has a lot more options on that. And they do make a reference, in a way, a hidden reference to this on Baby Audio's page when they say that this function, the sidechaining thing, could be a plugin in itself. Wink, wink. All in all, I think this is an interesting plugin. I think having a good EQ circumvents the need for this, but I would probably use it on something like a reverb just to make sure that everything is kind of tamed where I want it to be tamed. And the good thing about this is, as you see, I have the demo version. You can download the trial and test it out yourselves. It's a cool plugin. I'm actually interested to hear what people think about this because it's new, and the fact that it does stuff automatically is the kind of selling point in a way, but at the same time you don't have the same options you do with an EQ or with any of the other processors in a similar vein. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know in the comments below what you think about smooth operator, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.